Well, hey there team, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to Aquatico. So, a little bit of background on this one. I covered an early build of this, funnily enough, not that long ago. Little red flaggy, and I was quite firm with this game. I was quite harsh, you could even say, because it did feel like it felt very early, and yet here we are at 1.0 release. Now, props to the devs for going straight into full release and not early access, because I kind of dislike early access. It is abused. But the jump from recent build that was pre-release early into full release, especially when my video that I covered of that found it to be lacking, worries me. It's also worth mentioning, I'm biased as buggery when it comes to this sort of game, the idea of an underwater colony builder. This just ticks a really special part in my heart. I want it to be good. I desperately want it to be good, so perhaps I am a bit more firm with it there. So there's sort of my biases set up at the front. It's also probably worth mentioning Surviving the Abyss is about to slip out as the third surviving game, and it's going to be the exact same sort of genre. So if you find this interesting, look that up. I've seen no marketing or anything around it, which makes me worry that it's going to flop like Surviving the Aftermath. But hopefully it's more like Surviving Mars. And it's also worth noticing that this is from publisher Overseer Games. Now, it's under a developer Digital Reef Games, and I think they're new, but the publisher also developed Patron before this. Is that what you call it? Yeah, it's not Patreon. I'm just going to duck out really quick and double check. Yeah, Patron, which is actually a pretty cool game, right? So, not the same dev, but the same sort of money house, right? They've become a bit of a publishing arm, as indies want to do. So, there's your sort of setup, right? You might hear people throwing around prestigious claims because of where it's come from, but it's only the publisher, not the dev. The last time we looked at it, it looked rough as anything, and maybe it's even rougher than what I think, or perhaps I'm being too firm on it because I want it to be more. A lot of setup.
We were bound for the stars, but the stars had other plans for us.
Right, fair enough then.
Our cities were bright. We were walking in the sunlight.
Platitude, the cutscene.
And then Nimrod struck.
Okay, sure.
Arriving from the stars, the asteroid obliterated our world. Radiation spread, the climate changed,
okay,
and sea levels increased.
Yes, I do like these splashes, they're quite pretty.
But now, they're a chance for survival. Beneath the waves, we will find a new home.
Sure, yeah.
And you will be there to build it.
I will say, I don't think I'm the only gamer that enjoys exploring the depths of the sea, colony building. Right, Subnautica, I honestly think, apart from the fact of its pedigree, I truly think that this genre is untapped potential for a lot of gamers and gamer minds, right? Look at space exploration, the idea of the unknown frontier. You usually have to go back in time into a fantasy setting or something like that, because there's not a lot in modernity that is left on the frontier unexplored. And that's why often you will get like a medieval thing like that, or perhaps a exploring space, that sort of thing. But this going under the ocean into the deep dark unknown, I'm glad to see more and more games trying it out, because I really think there is an audience for it that might not necessarily be realized. All right, build the subsurface base. Can I fit this into a grid perfectly? I can't. All right, so I'm immediately upset, but that's okay. What if I put it as central as I can? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Scarlet's gonna Scarlet. Subsurface base established. Welcome, Seamare. Alright, I can get around that title. Scarlet Seamare. Leading an underwater colony is a great responsibility, but we at New Atlantis have no doubt that you can handle it. Going underwater is our last chance of survival since the asteroid hit and made the surface uninhabitable. Focus on the production of plastics for construction, fuel for heat, and food for our people. The cold winter currents will strike soon. Build a beacon of civilization and give hope to mankind in these hard times. Follow the tutorial, blah, blah, blah. Very good. Oh, I got my little bloody robot workers. And look at this dude in the mech suit. I think that looks really cool. That's great. Hover over highlighted areas to continue. Yeah, I'm hovering. Hover over highlighted areas, continue. All right, it's telling me stuff. Okay, cool. So we've got fuel, oxygen, bits and bobs. What else we got here? Residents, drones, influence points, happiness. This is a lot to take on. I can press spacebar. I can speed up with the numbers, which is good. This should be given in these sort of games. I can WASD. I can rotate. Okay, that's good. That's great. Now what? I have to try everything. Hold middle mouse. Okay, that's fine. Got it. Okay, open the toolbars. Left click. Oh, you want me to click on this one? Food production panel. Alright. Gatherer's Place. A hub for crew gathering edible maritime fauna like mussels, mussels, sea snails, and sea cucumber. Oh, mate, Jesus. The cornerstone of any good diet. Alright, so... It seems to... I don't understand this overlay. Idle work or idle drones will take up resources from your subsurface base or depot and transport materials to a designated site. When enough materials are at the site... Okay, so I'm getting red, so that maybe means don't build there. That's no good. I'm getting green. But that green seems to be... Is it radial to my base? Oh no, it's not, actually. Okay, so it is a pseudo-fertility. It just doesn't telegraph very well. Okay, that's fine. So, do we not want the yellow there? Again, it's... You can't put these telegraphs in a tutorial setting and not actually explain what they bloody do. I mean, I guess you can do whatever you want, it's your game, but... You can sort of see why I was probably a bit firm with this in the first place. Alright, let's put that there. That's fine. Sure, we'll continue, like, after the construction is complete. Sure. I didn't go back to the old video, and I wonder how in common my rhetoric is here, but if you're going to do a tutorial, do it properly. If you otherwise, just don't do a tutorial. Do a RimWorld or something. Throw me in the fucking deep end and let me figure it out, but if you do elect to do a tutorial, you can't half-bake it. If you're making this statement of, we will hold your hand and teach you this stuff, you can't really leave room for vagaries. Open the jobs panel. Okay, so this has become kind of normal in this genre. It's great to see. It's only just popped up in the last few years. We can do automatic assigning. That's really good. I like that. But essentially, we can allocate people to these jobs. Right? Find the most efficient location and select and place a sponge collector. You can see the efficiency on the hint when you're placing the collector on the seabed. Okay, we sort of figured that out. Search for sponges in the surrounding and find the best suitable spot. Sponges in the vicinity are marked blue. Alright, can we get rid of this job board? What was it, J? Okay, cool. I like that the little things are highlighting and lighting up. Okay, that's good. That's actually a really good way to implement this UI in an unintrusive way. That sort of gentle highlight. Sure. Sure. Same thing, I'm going to start centralizing in these grids. 2 around. Work efficient. Oh, there is actually a printout on their efficiency there as well. I didn't even notice that. Okay, cool. Well, I think we were pretty good here. 118%. That's very efficient. So let's build this up. I do like... Well, that's okay. I don't want to call it generic, but that artistic design's not really blowing my socks off. This is a little bit cooler. It's a bit boxy. If I recall, there's a piping system for oxygen and water, but the pipes don't run separate. Maybe they changed that? But that... I don't know, it's a video game. Like, maybe you should just drop it, Scarlet, and shut up. But, I mean, I think it's a little bit strange to have a network that runs air and water and fuel and all that sort of shit through the exact same single pipe. Maybe they changed it. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Select and place oil. Toggle the grid view. Ah, see, that's what we want. So we've got work efficiency 50%. And look for the crude oil-rich areas. Orange-coloured cells. Okay. Oh shit, look at that big fish. It's a hammerhead. Yeah, but look how fucking big it is. Oh, it's huge. Okay, so over here, are we gonna... Aha! Efficiency, right? What about down here? Is that... Okay, good. Alright, Scarlet's much happier. So those are the little connectors for pipes. And, God, I'm starting to remember it now. So what's with the radius? You know, why is it a radius when I still have to put the platform in? Perhaps it locks out sort of like a wind generator. If I put another oil platform nearby, they fuck with each other. I guess we'll find out in a moment. But I recall I bricked my buildings because of the pipe things. I accidentally boxed it in. So I sort of remember now not to do that. Okay. I will say, and again, I'll take the L if it's a personal component. But so far, it's a bit more accessible and easier, at least that's my perception, than it was when I looked at it last time. You'd hope so at version 1. But again, that could be because I'm going in sort of forewarned that I know to maybe treat this game a bit with kid gloves, being that I knew it was a bit of a headache last time. Select and place a fuel refinery on the seabed. Crude oil needs to be refined into fuel so your residents can use it for heating. That sounds reasonable to me. Doesn't look like it needs to go anywhere in particular. Again, what is that green there? I suppose if this yellow is oil, it's not such a stretch to assume it's some sort of fertility. Oh, here we go, hang on. Abyss, fertile. Buildings / occupied, radioactive. So that's radioactive. Abyss. So this is like out of bounds. I actually like the constraints here of our build space. That is pretty cool. So it's not all doom and gloom. Scarlet's... I'm enjoying myself. Don't get me wrong. I'm actually really enjoying this. Alright, so let's put a fuel refinery. I mean, what is light blue? What was light blue? Abyss. Ore-rich area? Do you think that's ore-rich? Maybe it's just nothing. Do you reckon this is nothing? Again, I'm not seeing that color. It's sort of a light blue. Do you sort of see what I mean? Like, what is even this color? Is that a non-color? Oh my goodness. It feels... That's the problem. I would say the through line in this is that it has some half-baked components. I guess we could build this on the oil area, right? Let's do that. Certain buildings need to be interconnected via combined pipeline systems, right? Pipelines are used to transport crude oil, fuel, electricity, and oxygen. So, wait, we put pipes for electricity? Okay. Well, I mean, cables I could get around. Every building can only be connected to a single pipeline. Every building can only be connected to a single pipeline? I'm not against that. Like, that's a sort of gamey constraint that I can get around. Alright. Select the marked sponge collector and pay for the production boost upgrade. Okay, well, I should be able to figure that out. Production boost. Bonza. Alright, we'll let construction complete down here. The little robots. I guess I could turn that grid off to make it a bit more watchable. Little mech warrior dudes. Do this bloke. Jacked. He does curls. Restricted area. I like that. That's cool. I will say, like, and this is just personal, right? This is not necessarily a criticism, but this rounded futurism that we've got going on there, I appreciate that it is an art direction that seems to be cohesive. I hate it. I can't stand it. But again, look at me playing things like Jurassic World, even Satisfactory. That clean, sharp corners 70s futurism is my bread and butter. This is about as opposite to that design direction as you could go. So there's nothing wrong with it overtly. It's just I don't like it. But you might, truck a comment. You might actually go, I love this and I can't stand the sharp edge boxy stuff that you see in everything else. Select and place a plastics factory on the seabed. Connect your plastic factory to the existing pipeline. Okay. Plastic factories uses sponges harvested to produce plastics, a crucial material used for constructing various structures. Sure, I can do that. It doesn't seem to need fertility or anything like that. Now, if I put this here, it's probably going to delete that sponge patch. Right? I can see them sort of getting deleted. Well, that's the other thing. Like, as the sponge dudes gather, do they slowly... There's an efficiency. Do they delete the sponges? Oh, here you go. Sponge 10. Age, usefulness, parasites. That's kind of cool. Just, I couldn't... See, like that. That's not clicking on it. I guess... Yeah, okay. So the hitbox on clicking it's not even correct. That's weird. Yes, again, there's jank. All right, let's just call it for what it is. There's a lot of jank in this. It seems cool. The jank is gonna each to their own, you know. All right, connect it to the pipeline. You reckon we could sort of? That'll work. Like the little leg for it. Harvest the designated resources. Drag a box around the area you want to harvest. Some materials can be found and scavenged in your immediate surroundings. To gather them, okay, so we're just gonna gather stone, iron, and plastic. So, where's this arrow? It's over here. Right, so you want us to gather the plastic. Open up the research screen. Okay, let's have a look. Tidal turbine, very cool. Select and place a dome on the seabed. Houses and civic buildings can be built inside well-pressurized hubs called domes. So is this going to go down the surviving the aftermath route? It is too. That's right. Look, I do like that it elevates it into a different, into the depth, into the 2.5D or whatever you want to even call it. So, I wouldn't mind this being a little less there, okay. Oh, okay, let's do it like that. Tutorial complete after it's built. Alright, so these blokes are going up to pick, and again, this is sort of standard fare for this, you know, manual gathering to just get this, the gimme starter resources until you get some sort of actual production pipeline going. Plastic factory, oil rig. Okay, so it's automatically staffing everything. Deep Sea 9. Change the character's name. The colony's name, sorry. Do we have rates of income? Okay, so we've got rates there. Sponge. Month produced, month used. So we just have a... Again, you don't have a coloured system. I guess you've got this plus 40, plus 30. Balance requirement. Toggle between dome view. Aha. That's actually really clever. I think that's great. Just a quick little button press. Place some homes. See now, can I build in that negative space? I cannot. I don't know, let's just... What if I rotate, eh? Whatever, like that, that'll do. Select and place 2 houses inside your dome. Done. Open the research screen. Alright, oxygen generator. Sounds good. Press tab, place a tidal turbine. Alright, things are going a little bit more millhouse this time around. Uses power sea currents. Electricity can only be transported via pipelines. Again, that's very strange, man. Whatever, it's your game. Let's pop that there. See now, remember what it said, you can only have one thing attached to a pipeline, so you can see these sort of ingress points for generating a new pipeline, but connecting onto this main, this is the only way that you can connect. Surely you can connect to the existing one. Public buildings, production buildings, infrastructure. Right, so what if I do this? Seems that that'll work, actually, so that's kind of cool. Oops, what the fuck have I done there? Get rid of that. Cancel gathering. Gather all resources. No, I want a bulldozer. Gathering. Demolish pipeline. Oh, what was it? You couldn't destroy buildings. Yeah, see, it's locked. That's why I got really stuck. And you know what? It looks like it's still possible there. So, buyer beware. Last time I looked at this, I built buildings in such a way, because it didn't explain it very well, that I clogged pipelines and wrecked them and that sort of thing. And I was unable to delete buildings, and you have to just restart the entire tutorial from scratch. It's shit design, and it's a shame to see that it's carried over. Use tab to place an oxygen generator on the seabed. Okay. Oh, on the seabed. Right. Oxygen generator. I don't know, we can plonk it over here, eh? Music's kind of cool. It's got a Vangelis sort of Blade Runner vibe. Connect the dome tidal turbine, oxygen generator, and fuel refinery with a single pipeline system. I mean, charitably, we could sort of maybe say this is a good baby's first colony builder, in that the logistical nature of the pipelines seems pretty... One could say thin, but one could also say simplified. Alright, open up the research screen, get batteries. It's very follow the bouncing ball at the moment, which is okay. Select the leaking pipeline socket and repair it. Where? Okay, well there it is there. Right, so there is a little marker. So I can click on it and just go repair. And it just immediately repairs it. Or does it dispatch a dude to fix it? It just seems to repair it straight away. Yeah, that's, again, sometimes you gotta ask yourself, I talk about this, AAA is way more of an offender when it comes to these nothing game mechanics that you add, and just because someone built it and now assets made and actual work product went into it does not equal a value add, right? And you often get these games filled to the brim with crappy mechanics that are not fun, they're not necessary, and players generally don't like them or don't want to engage with them. But the perception is it adds 10 hours of gameplay or whatever. What are you getting at, Scarlet? What I'm getting at is, what is the point of this broken pipeline thing if all I can do is I can zoom out and then it shows me the marker, I click on it and just press fix, and it just magically fixes it immediately? How does that in any way add to gameplay, right? Now, if it took labor and resources and it tied them up, and then maybe you have to start thinking about, I have to tactically shut down part of this pipeline because of pressure issues. Now, look, I'm just making this up as I sit here, but I would argue I'm coming up with better ways to implement it. Now it's just a sort of nothing mechanic that exists purely to annoy the player. Select and place a battery on the seabed. So here I go being harsh on this game again. Now, my opinion might change if I put even more time into it. Alas, so many games, so little time. There's only so much I can really give it, and in a way, it's getting a second chance with this video. This marks the end of the step-by-step tutorial. Final word of advice, watch out. You get notifications and warning the game sends you in a way of challenges in a timely manner. Sure, cool, okay. Let me off the leash. In the scheme of things, it's not a terrible tutorial. Again, I argued that if you're going to do a tutorial, it should be strict. It should sort of just say, do this, do that. I don't love that our entire infrastructure... Now, this might change. We'll have a look at the tech tree. Got a maintenance depot who do regular repairs on the pipeline. Yeah, okay, so that might address what I'm talking about. But again, things come to mind. Surviving Mars comes to mind, right? That you have an entire You should check that out. Fantastic game. But you have a situation in that where you potentially have to run miles of pipe across Mars. And you want them inside a maintenance radius because you physically have drones allocated, and all these drones need to be maintained. They need to have recharge stations and batteries and controllers, all this sort of stuff. So it is a robust mechanic, and they dispatch out and they do the repair. They physically go out, they repair it, they fix the pipeline, they come back, right? Then more recently, let's even look at Jurassic World Evolution 2. They implemented a mechanic where you have these health check stations that you allocate your jeeps to, and your jeeps will drive out, and from that radius they will go and patrol out and check up on the dinosaurs and feed you back telemetry to see how they're going, right? So this is all robust, realized mechanics that are a value add to the game, and they need to be managed and maintained. Now, I'm getting potentially ahead of myself here, but all this is a click and press the tick box, so it's like a pop-up on your bloody office computer. And we're going to place a maintenance depot to what? Create a radius so that those pop-ups just don't happen anymore? So we're going to implement a nothing mechanic, and then we're going to give you a building to make that nothing mechanic go away. It's not a good sign, man. Increase the speed of drones and mechs. That's interesting. So this is sort of like, because we're not going to do footpaths, I don't believe. So this is the closest thing to a footpath. Is going to be some sort of navigation sign, right? Workers on route for HQ. So yeah, I have my concerns. This single pipeline thing, well, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. You click on the infrastructure button and this is it. It could be that the research tree, let's have a look. Batteries, drone factory, oil imperium combo. Fuel refineries in proximity of an oil platform, gain 10% bonus. It's a bit of a nothing upgrade, you know? It's like, buy this upgrade and you get 1% added to teeth whitening. It's like, fuck, who cares? Sea Hunters Lodge. So there's actual new buildings that can be unlocked, okay. Raw seafood budgeting, underwater field, grants us ability for agricultural services that produce to build surfaces. Okay, so this is farming, subsurface base, property tax. Oh my god. Does that make you want to buy a game when you can unlock property tax as an upgrade? Mine, shrine, transport fevers. Okay, so you've got a mix essentially. It seems like two things. One is new buildings, and one is things that give you a 10% incremental upgrade that that you're not going to notice. Pet feeders, clinic. How far? So this tree goes. Look at this. There is a lot here. But what I'm trying to figure out, cages, market tax, specialist surtax. What are you doing, game? The word tax probably shouldn't appear in your game. I'm not pro or anti or anything like that, but I'm just like, is this like game made for actuaries? Subsurface base 5, concert hold, all. I'm not sure that the infrastructure mechanic changes. I know I'm going through this very briefly, but the whole reason I'm harping about this is that I don't think it ever gets any more complicated than you have a single pipeline, selected pipeline, connected buildings, broken connections, new arrivals. New people have arrived in the colony. HQ has assisted them. We should put them to good use. So I'm not sure what triggered that, if that's a time thing. I guess we don't breed people, we just house people, and they just rock up whenever they feel like it. Again, the game hasn't explained to us. Usually, if you're interested in this game, I don't necessarily need to educate you on the mechanics of colony builders, but usually you'll have people get built, they get bred, right? So you meet the requirements to breed your own population, or you might just have this HQ delivery system, but there'll be an arbitrary limit, like unless morale is above 75%, people aren't going to rock up to your colony. Now, if that's a mechanic here, the game hasn't told us, and the game should have already told us that by now. So I guess the inference is that dudes just keep fucking rocking up forever at a fixed interval, and you can't do anything about that. So if your colony needs more dudes, too bad. Additional panels. Toggle dome ground view. Oh, that's just tab. I mean, let's have a look. What can you tell me? Income. I mean, we do have happiness at 99. Insulation. Houses. Residence 2. House level. Upkeep. It's not telling us anything. Basic goods. Is this my population? Residents. Adults, 4. Okay, so then maybe we can have children. I guess. I'm not necessarily saying that you need to be hand-holdy, but these are pivotal mechanics that you need to lay out, right? Be like a first-person shooter, but left mouse click isn't fire. That's fine. I challenge you to make a first-person shooter and make the bloody T button fire your gun. But you know what the developer has to do, and I think we'll all agree on? They have to tell you at the very beginning, in the first 30 minutes at least, that T is fire in this game, that it's different. This is an expected mechanic, and if it's doing it, and it needs to explain to you how it's done, right? This isn't explaining how colonies grow. It's not explaining how people rock up. It seems that we've figured out by poking and prodding that there are children and all that. There seems to be a morale happiness threshold, but it doesn't seem to want to explain that. Single pipeline never seems to get more complicated. So this is very, very light, okay? And there's 2 ways to take it, right? Let's wrap this up. Jeez, I gotta stop making videos on this game because I'm just getting cranky. There's 2 things you can look at this. 1, Scarlet is expecting too much. I am an enthusiast for the colony builders genre, and especially I want this underwater thing to work, right? I just do. So on one hand, I'm being too harsh, and I will take that L, and you guys can drop comments and help keep me on track, right? I'm just me, and I know what my tastes are. On the other hand, I'm on the money, and this is oversimplified to a fault. I'll devil's advocate that as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a bit of a middleman management factory game that's a little bit more, like I said, baby's first colony manager, right? I use this example with Atrio, another wonderful game that we just covered the other day, but this is more in the Factorio space. Not so much a colony builder, but more of a factory game, right? And that has like a bit more of a narrative throughput. It's kind of like Frostpunk, but if it was Factorio as the core loop, right? You should check it out, it's wonderful. Now that still has complexity, but it's not nearly as complex as a Factorio. Factorio is very intimidating for people, throws you in the deep end, and the existence of Atrio, I think, is wonderful because it's a great halfway point. It's a great baby's first Factorio. If you're intimidated by Factorio, you should play Atrio as an introduction. So perhaps this could be said that this fills that space. For a colony manager, maybe this is just a little bit more dumbed down, a little bit more casual, a little bit more simple, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way. There should be a market for that. However, even saying that, I can acknowledge that Atrio does a brilliant job at being a middleman, a sort of simplified Factorio, but I don't see this doing that for the colony building space. So there's something there. I can't quite put my finger on it, but this feels less as a cohesive, simplified, more accessible colony builder, and more just kind of half-baked. Oh, it sounds so cruel. Anyway, let me know what you reckon, team. I might chip away at it more off the channel, but that's never a good sign, that a game gets your curiosity and your time, because you can't tell if it's bad or not. Right? Well, I've only got so much time. I'm not promising a playthrough. We're doing playthroughs on Twitch and all that at the moment. But this definitely doesn't go at the top of the pile. I'm curious, but not that curious. Check it out yourself. Maybe, not to encourage it, but maybe buy it and get your 2-hour refund window in and pass judgment for yourself if you doubt me. Again, in closing, I want this to be good. I really want this to be good. I have a huge bias in this genre and specifically this theme. Perhaps Surviving the Abyss will tick that box for us next week when that comes out. Though I'm very, very scared about that because I think Surviving the Aftermath is kind of terrible. Anyway, I've waffled a lot, but I would like to think that it's moderately cohesive and probably helpful for people curious about this. If you did find that I've put you in the wrong direction or the right direction, chuck me a comment, alright? If you think Scarlet's a dickhead and I'm totally wrong for saying things and he said mean things about the game I bought, angry comment. Well, yeah, go on, fucking do it. But if you found this helpful and perhaps you agree with me or you have even more to contribute to the conversation, let me know as well. Anyway, buyer beware. I have concerns about this. Something's missing. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being and I'll catch you guys on the next one.